So a funny thing happened on the way to the live stream here. It said, "Hey, you're logged out of Facebook," and I thought to myself, "Did Mike log us out of Facebook
No, you know
purposely?"
what happened.
What?
Facebook went down.
Well, I know, but that's not why the system logged us out. I
Why
think,
wouldn't why wouldn't it log you out if it went down?
well, because it came back up.
Oh, well, but I think it lost all its session tokens.
I that maybe that's probably true, but I just figured that it was you finally saying, "Jake, we're not doing this live on Facebook anymore," and you know what? We can see you live on Facebook. We know who's there. So
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I
Um,
have no control over you and Facebook, sadly.
wow, a lot has happened in the last week.
2 weeks. We
Um,
haven't done this for two
we have
weeks.
news for 2 weeks. I was in Florida at the American Hospital Association Rural Conference, and that was before the Change Healthcare breach. So we'll hit that today.
Hmm.
Fred, speaking of Change Healthcare breach, was in the New York Times, which was pretty cool on Mike's day off. Um, we did a panel on the Change Healthcare thing, Change Healthcare breach. And boy, one great panel. If you haven't seen it, go to our
Yeah,
YouTube
John
page.
Ricci was on it. It was
Yeah,
great.
we had John Rigi, we had Nathan Wright, we had Tim Powers. It was really good. A lot of very actionable information and a lot of outrage
Yeah,
at the bad guys that this happened. That the amount of consolidation that allowed for one organization being taken down to have such a large impact.
that's the lesson learned right there.
Yeah, and by the way, we talk about this, but I think we're going to see folks go out of business because of this. I think we're going to see some small clinics, some small offices. Just this is going to be really, really awful.
We're going to see some
Um,
big lawsuits too.
yep, yep. And a really important thing today. If you're watching this live, we have a panel on the NIST CSF 2.0 finally being out. And we're going to do a panel on it. And Mike is going to give away his spreadsheet if you want a free spreadsheet for NIST CSF 2.0. But we're also going to show you better
Free
ways to do it.
Excel. Oh, that's so compelling.
I know, I know, I know. Yay, free Excel. But we'll show you a better way to do it.
Yeah.
That's not in Excel, and we'll show you the new tools. And if you want to come to that, you can go to our website and click on events, sign up, or you can email me, jake@criticalInsight.com, and I'll sign you up. And Mike, also the other big thing, CGP, which is
Yes.
the funding, federal grant funding for state and local organizations. Round 2 is starting.
And
So
round two is bigger than round one. So, get your paperwork together, get those
yeah,
applications ready because
yeah,
y'all need stuff.
and you know what? And Mike and I have been driving around Washington State and around the Pacific Northwest visiting folks, and there are a lot of people who have not applied, haven't put in for this, and could get grant funding for building an incident response plan, for building, for doing an assessment, for doing all sorts of things.
Capital
24/7
purchases,
capital
multi-factor
purchases,
authentication.
24/7 monitoring, multi-factor authentication, all sorts of different things.
Mhm.
All right, so Mike, the news.
Yes.
Um, there is, there are a bunch of big things, but one that just is for some folks a stunner. Although if you've been at this for a while, maybe not a stunner. Um,
I thought it was
this,
surprising.
you were surprised. I am not surprised. 78% of organizations suffer a repeat ransomware after paying. Tell
Yep.
people, give people some context, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not surprised, and you can go ahead and tell people why you
Well,
are.
I'm not surprised because if they've been in the network, they know their way around. They know what the vulnerabilities are. They know what's not patched, and they know that they can, repeat the initial access, even if they are purged from the network, and they're probably not even purged from the network. So, a lot of interesting statistics from this. 36% of the time, it was the same threat actor. All right. So that's interesting. I think that's a hard measurement to make, because when you say it's the same threat actor, but this time it wasn't, I mean, there's all this cross pollination between these groups. So same threat actors, probably even a bigger number than that. Um, More than half of organizations had more than one ransomware attack in the last 24 months. This is a scourge.
Yeah.
This is, and we talk about this all the time. Federal government is just not doing what it needs to do to whip out the punitive measures here, and have some kind of scaled retaliation. To, like, we got to get serious here. All the money being drained out of our economy, it's starting to affect GDP.
And let me tell you why I'm not surprised. I mean, this just follows criminal behavior. Take out
Yeah.
take out ransomware, take out, the fact that it's Russians or North Koreans or whatever. Like, if your house gets burgled and criminals know how to get in, and they know that you're the kind of person who has jewels. I mean, we working in local news, yeah, this is what happens. Like, people, like, the criminals come back to the same watering holes. This is a thing. This is not surprising to me.
But 78%, okay, I thought I mean, 80% of ransomware victims get whacked again. I mean, that's the kind of threat intelligence that you can actually make actionable.
Sure.
When you're going through these negotiations with these gangs, you should have in the back of your mind, they're going to do this to you again.
Well, and I
I thought
think
it
it's
was
important. Yeah, and I think it's important, when if you're talking about ransomware and you're thinking about, oh, we negotiated with this gang or that gang or whatever, you're not negotiating with like one gang. You're
yeah,
negotiating with,
an
somebody who
ecosystem.
created the ransomware, somebody who launched the
Mhm.
ransomware. People go from groups to groups. So it's not like you have this secret information with like one Russian or one North Korean. No, like, your information has gone to a whole bunch. It's yeah, it's all over the place.
Well,
So
I think it's interesting that there is some legislation in Florida. I believe it's pending, and I think it's going to get a governor's signature soon, that prohibits ransomware payments. And so this will be a state experiment to see if a policy like that will actually work. Is this going to make the actors stay away from Florida? Well, I mean, we'll find out. So interesting experiment going on there that may move this needle a bit.
but I'll give you my legal opinion, which is it's unconstitutional. Like, you can't prohibit
That's what I think
things.
too.
But I mean, who would, I was saying, oh, it's unconstitutional, but who's gonna who's gonna challenge it, right? I don't know.
Well,
All
and
right.
remember, it's Florida.
I like Florida. I was just there. The weather is quite nice, and I
The
rented a boat,
best
and
reason to continue burning fossil fuels
I
is Florida.
I am a Florida fan.
I know
I
you
like
are.
it. As it rains here and is cold in the Pacific Northwest, I'm going back to Sarasota. So there. And by the way, oh, we're going to move to healthcare here. I'm going to HIMSS next week. If folks are going to Orlando, let me know. I like Sarasota more than Orlando, though. Sorry.
Me
Okay.
too.
Um, okay. Change healthcare. Massive attack, far reaching. John Reed, you described it as like it's a volcano in the distance. You saw it erupt, and now the lava is flowing down, and we're seeing all the effects. And everybody is asking for federal intervention. Um, and at the same time, did they pay the ransom? Did they not? Mike, take us through what's going on.
All right. So, first of all, the impact of this is nationwide, and there are still pharmacies that cannot serve your prescription needs. Right. That's how bad this is. That's how much interconnectivity there was with change.
Oh, it's massive,
And
massive.
so physicians, clinics, the smaller businesses especially, can't get reimbursed by, they can't bill insurance for this, so they're going broke. And so there have been calls by the AHA. So first of all, Change said we'll set up a loan program, and it turned out to be not only a drop in the bucket, but it had really onerous terms with it, that you were going to waive any right you have to legal action after
Well,
this.
and based on
Okay,
healthcare
put a pin in
organization,
that.
and based on organizations we've talked to, people are just getting denied. So you agree to
Yeah,
all of these onerous terms, and then you get denied. Like, oh,
yeah.
super helpful, thank you.
Okay, so now healthcare organizations are really getting up into the grill of the federal government, saying we need help here. All right. They're requesting support for providers to access accelerated payments. And I think, the federal government generally moves slowly. I think it should probably do something about this in the next couple of days if it's going to do something about this. All right. And then this thing happened. This is weird. So somebody that was monitoring blockchain transactions saw $22 million go into the ransomware gang, Alfie Black Cat. Okay. And remember, there was an affiliate there who hasn't been identified, who actually pulled this off, right? The Black Cat ransomware and the Alfie infrastructure is just something that's used by affiliates, right? They don't actually pull the trigger. And so what happened was they saw this $22 million flow into Black Cat's wallet. And before the affiliate could be paid, Black Cat said, "Oh, the feds got us. We're closing up." They drained the wallet and disappeared. So now the affiliate group is presumably still in possession of a bunch of records that they're going to try and monetize, and may try to extort the organization again, if indeed it has been extorted, because we don't know. We don't know where that $22 million came from. We just know where it went to. And so now the gangs are out there kind of sniping at each other. One stole another gang's money, pretending that the feds got them when they actually did. The Department just said, no, we didn't do that. So this has all gotten really weird, just in time for the lawsuits to start rolling. So at least 5 federal lawsuits have been filed this month, and I think there's 3 in Tennessee, 2 in Minnesota, and there are more coming.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
We've
I
talked
mean,
a lot about how we've created this condition where this private right of action can go sue because the perception is my record has been disclosed and something bad will happen. Nothing bad has happened, but something bad is probably going
well,
to happen.
I think there's a really important thing here, which is for folks watching this. If you are if you are in healthcare, you understand the impact of this. If you are not in healthcare, you need to pay attention to this. You need to pay attention to this,
Yeah,
not
this is
because
going to
it's
affect
impacting
you.
you, but because this shows how consolidation in a piece of technology, if that technology is ransomware, will impact your organization. So look throughout your organization, where are your risks? If technology X went down, what would that mean for your organization, and plan around that.
Yeah.
There's an org that we worked with, healthcare org that we worked with, where they had just done an IR plan and tabletop with us. And they had practiced. What if one of our major technologies goes down? And what they told us when the change thing happened was, we were more prepared than we would have ever thought we could be for this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is phenomenal. And look, this is not whether you work with us, whether you work with somebody else, focus on where your risks are, because this, something like this is coming for you.
Yeah.
So
Well, here's a pro tip. When you're doing third-party risk management, you want to find out where risk is concentrated, not in suppliers, but in supplies. Right? So, I mean, if you get your urinal cakes from 3 different suppliers, okay, that's, you're probably in good shape there. But if all of your payment transactions have to go through one single supplier, you need to diversify that. And, part of it is just capitalism and the way that we allow, these, mega companies to take over so much of a space. But look where risk is concentrated in supply.
And the fact that you bring up urinal cakes in more than one video per month is really weird, Mike.
Yeah, you need a handy example, and I think that's something that 50% of the population can relate to. Just think about that.
Okay, thank you. You know what? I have now overthought that, and I'm going to move on to the next thing.
Please.
Because folks may not have seen the news from American Express. What happened to American Express?
Well, they had, again, it was a third party that was breached.
A third party? I've never heard of a
kidding.
third party breach. What
Yeah.
happened, Mike?
All right. So a whole bunch of account information got disclosed, name, card information, expiration date, blah, blah, blah. So American Express, as part of the payment card industry, is now going to get whacked by the payment card industry. Right? They, in addition to, the regulatory issue here, they're definitely going to get class action suits too. So, here we are draining off the money ourselves by suing the crap out of each other every time something happens.
Yeah.
So, and
Yep.
and I think another interesting thing kind of in the finance sector, the mortgage companies keep going down. Do you see
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. So many mortgage companies have
What's the
gotten
Fairway
Fairway.
Independent, okay? So there's the Mr. Cooper Group, which was your mortgage lender,
I
First
know. And
American.
by the way, I still had to pay.
Too bad.
Hmm.
Fidelity National Finance was another one, or Fidelity National Financial, whatever it is. And the bass player in my band actually works for a title company. He said that one really stung them. So, I mean, heads up, that's threat intelligence. If your sector, mortgage companies, are getting pummeled like this, you should have your radar way up.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
you're a juicy target, apparently.
Yep. 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 All right, Mike. I think is there oh, you know what? We should talk about the Georgia thing and then we'll go to threats and vulns. I
Yeah.
think, you know, we do have a lot of folks in local government who listen to us. Obviously, Mike, because he was CISO of the city of Seattle. Um, so Georgia, we knew, that ransomware cleanup takes a long time. And so it's not a surprise that they're still cleaning up. But what new details do we have?
Well, so in Fulton County, Georgia, which is where the trial is going on for the former president, right? And so they get hit with ransomware and presumably records went out. Now, what they're saying is that all material that's related to that election case is kept in a separate, I guess on a segment in a highly secure system and blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, we're dealing with professionals here that know how to steal things. So my sense is that because there has, and they said they were not going to pay the ransom, but this did cause them to invest $10 million into technology upgrades. So there's that. But if indeed this gang was in possession of any records, you can believe that the Kremlin has reviewed them. All right, for whatever they are worth in propaganda and disinformation, and we still may see disclosure of this information. It may have been manipulated, and this is conjecture, but what we could end up here with is the 2024 version of Hillary's emails.
Great. I can't wait.
Hmm.
But one thing you said in there, wouldn't it be nice to spend that $10 million before you got hit by ransomware?
Oh yeah,
And so, for all of the folks who are listening and you want to hold this up to your mayor, your city council, your county council, your commissioners, whatever you got, like, hey, pay attention. Let's spend the money now, not after the attack.
yeah,
All
not
right,
under
Mike.
duress. Hmm.
All right, threats and vulns. What do you got?
You ever heard of cameras by a company called Hikvision, HIK Vision?
I haven't.
This is not the first time that they've gone bad, but they've gone bad. So it's their security management system, right? That's what the cameras are for. Patch them. There is some web-based PLC, programmable logic controller malware, and apparently this makes it pretty easy to do. And I'm not making this up. Stuxnet type attacks.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's something to really worry about. Um, on the good side, the FBI and CISA released indicators of compromise for something called the Phobos ransomware. And the Phobos ransomware, you know that I consider local government to be extremely critical, and it's specifically aimed at local government, healthcare, education, and critical infrastructure sectors. So check it out. If you do your own security monitoring, you want to have those indicators loaded up so that if something happens, you're going to catch it. Team City, another remote access, remote management tool. Okay, that's gone bad. Something like 30,000 organizations use it. And there is an Apple Zero Day that bypasses kernel security, which means total access to everything. So there's a couple of CVEs there, 23225 and 23296. You got to patch that stuff right away, and you should probably patch Chrome just because it's a day of the week ending.
Just always patch Chrome. That's just how that goes. Yeah. By the way, Microsoft has gotten more forceful about restarting your computer if you don't restart it on your own.
They sure have. I noticed that myself. But you know what? Good on them. So
good. That surprise. Yeah, right. And you know what? I just read an article about, somebody was saying CISOs should be over IT. And I think that is
Mm,
one of the things that, Microsoft has taken to heart. Okay. I don't, well, we can talk, you know what?
I
We
don't
don't have
agree.
enough time. We're going to talk about that next week.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So at the end of all of these, the kicker, something to make people smile or go, what do you got?
Well, with all of the espionage going on and the cybering of countries against countries to steal secrets, and what are your war plans, and what are your propaganda issues, things like that. There's a whole lot of spying going on, right? And so one would think that there are very sophisticated techniques involved here, but it turns out that the Russian spies were able to record some secret German military talks just by joining their WebEx call. Okay, so they're watching. Okay, and so apparently one military officer dialed into the conference from a hotel in Singapore with his cell phone. Okay, they- they're watching that stuff, and they said, "Oh, he just joined a WebEx call. Let's just join it," and that's what they did. And so, these kind of low tech
So
techniques
sometimes,
work pretty well.
so sometimes you need like really sophisticated ransomware, and sometimes you just need to call into a WebEx.
Just join the call, man.
Yes, join the call.
Yeah, I think
Who
the most interesting thing there is the German government uses WebEx,
I
but
was
since
gonna say there, who uses WebEx?
Cisco and nobody else.
You know who else uses WebEx, which boggles the mind? I'm
Mm.
sorry, I gotta Gartner. Gartner
Oh yeah,
uses
that's
WebEx.
right. That's right.
Gartner, which probably has a magic quadrant that says
Right.
not to use WebEx, uses WebEx.
Well, it's Cisco paid him to be upper right, so they got to do it. You
Now, Mike, according to the Gartner rules, that's not how that works. All right,
Okay.
everybody. Good seeing you. I'm not going to let Mike respond to that for legal reasons. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Okay.